Folks, we're approaching the red traffic light, but just ask you to remain seated. As soon as we get a light in our favor, we'll go right on across the street.
他说在他还记得是已经也5、6年没有了。那我们有10来年没有。
哎，那他弟弟来台湾来这边才1年，应该第一次也，他可能之前有常来，有去过。
谁呀？阿邦啊？阿邦是他们家这个来啊。他们家那个我二嫂他们家一家子。要不见了吧？所以啊，对。
19 non-stop service to Vancouver is now ready for boarding at gate number 1. All passengers, please proceed to the boarding area immediately.
Good job, good job.
Sit down with them, Shy. Thank you. What do you want to ask them?
都是印第安人是吧？
Okay, come on. Come on.
我想照那个
啊，我帮您拍这个。
有照相机啊，才有照片啊，要不是这个他怎么拿个同学？
The Edith Head building. Anything that's not nailed, glued, stapled, or bolted to the set. Prop can be as small as a paper clip or as large as a Roman chariot. Now what better place to have a Roman chariot than right here in Spartacus Square? Spartacus starred Kirk Douglas as Laurence Olivier. In fact, it's from the steps here on my side. That's where Olivier delivered his speech to the Roman soldiers, charging them to go out and find the rebel slave Spartacus. This area also appeared as Ancient Rome in the 20th Century Fox film History of the World Part 1, which was written and directed by Mel Brooks. If you ever plan on working in, or actually 1920s, they were used in Universal's first Academy Award-winning film for Best Picture, All Quiet on the Western Front, back in 1929. They've also played host to countless horror films like Frankenstein, Return of Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein, The Ghost of Frankenstein, the second cousin once removed on his mother's side of Frankenstein, also Dracula the Wolfman, and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Over here on the driver's side, it's a tree.
Have you seen that commercial on the TV?
他们那演什么呢？
Shows up with the North Pole.
你看要演了，你看。
Now the role of Frankenstein's monster was originally offered to Bela Lugosi, who at the time was considered to be a pretty big star because he had recreated his Broadway role of Dracula for the big screen. However, Bela Lugosi turned the role of Frankenstein's monster down, and he gave two main reasons. The first was simply the role of the monster had no lines in the original Frankenstein movie. He didn't speak until Return of Frankenstein. Also, Bela Lugosi felt that the makeup and costume was just too cumbersome. He was actually right. The costume for the monster it's around. On the level above us is a busy urban street scene, and as you can see here on our level, a subway station. Now the thing is, we can make this look like any subway station in the world just by changing the language of the street signs and the billboards on either side. If you look around, you can see, oh. This is Houston.
No, I'm just getting warmed up.
Let's see what they're setting this area up for. They set up this area for the Universal Network program Just Shoot Me. It stars Laura San Giacomo. Also Brownstone Street, where we traveled down Earl Clubs, and over on my side of the tram, you look down that area, that's Courthouse Square, where they shot the Back to the Future films, but it's also where they recently completed shooting scenes of a new movie called Charlie's Angels, based on the television series.
Charlie's Angels.
Here's where they're setting up for Nutty Professor. Now this area originally appeared in Universal's film Mystery Men. It was also used in the MGM film Stigmata as Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And Disney filmed a movie called Inspector Gadget, based on the cartoon series with Matthew Broderick. They also shot scenes in and around this area. Just last week they were shooting scenes from an upcoming episode of Ally McBeal right here as well. From time to time, they've used these sets as New York Street to portray New York for NYPD Blue. You saw the Paramount production of Payback with Mel Gibson. These areas where they filmed many of the scenes as well. In fact, they completely blew up one of our buildings using studio pyrotechnics, of course.
好像到一个空城妈，好像到一个空城市。妈妈，好像到一个空城哦。对啊，好像道具城。
拍电影看不出来。
对，但是里面没有东西。就可以修啊。这个不要很细。
Now, unfortunately, these sets that we're leaving were destroyed by a fire about 13 years ago. They've since been completely rebuilt. They're now wanted to use at the time. We're under contract with other studios. So this bridge is pretty much sat here for like the last 80 years. Now, we did recently retrofit the bridge so we can start going over it more frequently. And they were working here, we discovered a lot of celebrities over the years have been sneaking up here and actually carving their names into the sides of the support beams on either side of the tram. So if you look closely, you might be able to see the name of your favorite actor or actress. But if you're really not into that, then you can take a look over on my side of the tram because you got a great view of downtown Berkeley. Oh my God! Hold on back down. How much longer this bridge is going to last? Yeah. How you guys doing in the back? In the $1 Million Man, the Bionic Woman, recently appeared in shows like Quantum Leap with Scott Bakula and Murder, She Wrote. What we're going to do right now is we are going to take you guys through our greens department. We have one of the largest. You see the boulders, the tree trunks, the fallen logs. They look pretty real. If they were real, they'd weigh a ton, but they're actually pretty light because they're all made out of styrofoam. Also made out of styrofoam were many of the set pieces from both films, The Flintstones and The Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas. Take a look coming up. Oh man. That's what you get for not looking ahead. They used to have the sets for the Flintstones right here, but apparently they just took them down last night. Never mind. Well, the cliff that they use is actually located downstairs in the lower lot. We used one of our parking structures. We hung the entire vehicle over the side of the parking structure with a crane and then used computer graphics to transform that vehicle into a cliff out in the jungle. And hopefully some of you are familiar with the movie Spartacus because the road that we're about to turn onto, this was transformed into the Appian Way for the film. We covered this area of our lot with dirt. We had hundreds of Roman soldiers marching along the pathway, but obviously they were not real Roman soldiers. They were simply Los Angeles college students. Sadly, though, these college students had absolutely no historical perspective, because if you look closely at the Roman soldiers in the film, you'll see many of them had their wristwatches on and were wearing tennis shoes. Now, weather effects play an important part of productions here, and right now they were currently testing some weather effects in the area we're heading into. This is called Little Mexico. If we're lucky, the technicians are around and they'll be able to show us what they're working on. So if you guys are still back there, can you show us what...
大水来了。哦，对了，大水快，等一会儿。
Okay, let's add in a little rain.
等下小雨，那个东西。
大雨了。
我
不是，我这里不妙。
我闪电。这出国了，出国路过了吧？
I don't know if the cookies can handle it.
应该不是自然风，蛮冷的。
Nee, je ziet bij de politics dat het echt heel goed is.
什么嘛？没什么啊。
哦，大水来了。
都抓着嘞。
好浪费水晶啊！
他等会再抽回去。
Little example of how sometimes we can fool Mother Nature. The flood is produced by dumping thousands of gallons of recycled water from tanks located at the top of the hill. The rain's created by sprinklers located on top of the facades, and a tree line to shoot the water straight out in the air and only to fall down naturally.
好，雨停了。
In the same area that George is in, he's actually turning towards George. Hold on a second. George, get out of the water! Uh-oh. Oh, poor George. He had a lot of guts. And there they are. Oh, come on. We've been trying to catch this shark all day. In fact, we baited that yellow buoy out at the end of the pier with some tuna. Let's see if we can't get the shark to bite this time. We got him. Uh-oh, he's got us. Hold on. Well, you just survived Jaws. The movie Jaws was directed by Steven Spielberg back in 1975. It was his first of many major box office successes. However, in 1975, Steven Spielberg was only 24 years old. They had a lot of problems in the making of Jaws. One of the main problems was as soon as they put the first mechanical shark into the water, it simply sank to the bottom of the ocean. If you take a look back over on the driver's side of the tram, you'll notice the sets surrounding Jaws Lake. Those are also the sets that we used as Cabot Cove, Maine for the television series Murder, She Wrote. Murder, She Wrote starred Angela Lansbury. It was one of the longest running television, as well as the outside. You're going to see a couple more houses coming up on the driver's side of the tram. The white house with the blue trim, that's where Matlock used to live until he moved to Wilmington, North Carolina. Became a Viacom production. The last house is that brown two-story facade. That's the House of the Seven Gables from the 1940 production. The star of that film also made his motion picture debut here at Universal. His very first movie was a horror film called The Tower of London. In this movie, his character was killed at the end by drowning in a vat of wine, and reportedly the actor was so upset by this, he was quoted to say, "That's it." The original Psycho house is built on a 3/4 scale. We did that to give Anthony Perkins, who played Norman Bates, the appearance that he was larger than life as he stood in the front porch.
Who's left Christmas alive? Grinch lives north of
Jim Carrey also stood stage wall. As we make our turn, you see the lake on my side with that backdrop. That backdrop of the lake are where they filmed the final scenes for the Truman Show. The desert painting there is for the movie Charlie's Angels, and they're also preparing this area to be used for the Nutty Professor too. If you're a John Candy and Dan Aykroyd fan, then you probably have already recognized the cabin there on my side of the tram. That was the cabin that was featured in the movie The Great Outdoors. Also in the movie Apollo 13, the splashdown scenes at the end of the film were also shot right down there at Falls Lake. While you're up at the entertainment center, don't miss out on our newest attraction, Terminator 2 3D. Teach Live the Animaniacs. Warner Brothers is also where they filmed the series ER, as well as the sitcoms The Drew Carey Show and Friends. If you don't get a chance to see everything today, there's an inexpensive way to visit us in the future, and that's by purchasing a Celebrity Annual Pass. One low price allows you to visit us as often as you like for an entire year. Need to have you in your seat, please, in car number 2. There you go. Thank you.
Lord, please, just did you get in here? Look at these bozos. Doc, one of our time travel teams was conducting an experiment back in 1955.
He must have stowed away! Hey, I'm not one to pass up a free ride! Tanner! You should be here to present! We gotta get you back to 1955, or we can create...
There's no telling where or when Biff may be leading us, so we're prepared for anything. Good luck, time travelers. Come on, everyone! Hurry up! Yeah! Watch your step! Hurry up!
Tonight, there's a good chance of a tasty meal and a return to a good bed. Right now, it's 76 degrees inside my studio. And on your radio, it's KUSH with a song that's climbing up the charts. This one's called One Line Wonder.
没有手扶梯，参观2下就挂了。 这是我们去旧金山路上的一个小镇，我们在这里用餐。这家叫做 Vikings Garden。 绕一圈，背景都进来了。好，红杰在冰天雪地里面小便出来了。
尿尿结冰了，
尿尿结冰，
现在人中黄都变能动的人中黄了。
小心车子啊！
有车子啊。
车子来了。
车子。 上车了。
走。
挡在山上去啊，好像还要亮光哎，好荧光。哎，你要照人才有意思，一般买卡片就好了。
啊，走。
下雨了，他想上厕所，他就烂头了。
他这样，当初设计师有弄好几个都做不起来，因为他这个
不要摸，湿还摸，
钉子哎，
一条一条的。